Here's a quick disclaimer. The views, statements, and opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers. The statements are not intended to be product claims or medical advice. Hi, Diana Fryc here, and I am the host of the Gooder podcast, where I get to talk with the powerhouse women in the food, beverage, and wellness categories about the business of consumer packaged goods, branding, and leadership. This episode is brought to you by Retail Voodoo. Retail Voodoo is a brand development firm providing strategic brand design services for companies in the food, wellness, and beverage industries. Our clients include Starbucks, Kind, REI, PepsiCo, Hi-Key, and many other market leaders. So if your goal is to crush your competition by driving growth and disrupting the marketplace with new and innovative ideas, give us a call and let's talk. You can find out more at retail-voodoo.com. Okay, today I get to introduce you all to Jennifer Ross, or Jen, who is a co-founder and co-CEO of Swoon, the zero sugar beverage brand reinventing the classics like lemonade and iced tea. She co-founded the brand alongside her friend and former Harvard Business School classmate Christina Blankfein. Did I get that right?
Yes, you did.
Woohoo! 2 points. Okay. Jennifer was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes at the age of 6 and has long been an advocate for the advancement of diabetes research. While still in high school, she founded and organized Rock the Cure, a concert to benefit JDRF, which raised over $200,000. And now she's tackling sweetened beverages. And so I'm just going to welcome you, Jen. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Yeah, great. And you are in New York, yeah?
Yes, right in Manhattan.
Yes, right in the Manhattan. So you have to tell us a little bit. Those of us that are not on the East Coast area, we're seeing Manhattan and San Francisco kind of things are going a little bit weird and people are leaving. Is that really happening, or is that just make believe?
I think being here and living here, it doesn't feel quite as bad as the news is making it out to be. Honestly, the city feels very busy and vibrant and a ton of really positive energy. So, it's definitely not as bad as what people kind of have in their minds or what you see in the news.
Yes, good. And I suspect that Broadway is probably a big driver of a lot of that. I mean, you've got a lot of business in there, but in regards to attracting people, the arts in New York has just come back in full force, and that's probably helping a lot.
Definitely. There's so much arts and culture here in New York that people want to come and visit. And I definitely think, again, like the city's back with people living here, with tourists coming. There's just still so much to do and see, and really everything's back open now.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, let's talk about what we're here to talk about, and that is Swoon. Now, for those of you that aren't familiar with it, or for those of us that aren't familiar with Swoon, why don't you tell us what is Swoon and what does it stand for? What's its mission?
Yeah, so Swoon is a line of zero sugar lemonades and iced teas, a really, a healthier twist on the classic drinks that we grew up loving. And, we really started it out of a true personal need. As you said earlier, I'm type 1 diabetic. So I have grown up trying every sugar-free drink under the sun, everything from Crystal Light, Vitamin Water Zero, like you name it. And I've had it. But as I've gotten older, really realized, just how bad sugar is for everyone. Over 50% of adult Americans are pre-diabetic or diabetic. Right. And that's really a direct result of diet and exercise. And diet is consuming excess sugar. And sugary drinks are actually that number one source of excess sugar.
Really?
So, we really wanted to create something that wasn't a, quote unquote, diet or diabetic drink, but was something that didn't have sugar, that was all natural and tasted great and was fun. I have memories of a kid as a child, sneaking pink lemonade, one, because it was delicious, but it was also because it's what all my other friends were having. And so, of
Mhm.
course, wanting to be part of them and not feeling kind of othered as
Mhm.
a kid. And
Right.
then, even as an adult, food and drink are such a part of your life and your
Yeah.
lifestyle and kind of things that you do every day without even really thinking about it. So being able to kind of make an impact to give people options to choose drinks that aren't filled with sugar will
Mhm.
be having a direct impact on people's health, kind of without even thinking about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it really is something that is very near and dear to my heart.
Mhm. Well, and you're right about food. Food is cultural, really.
Mhm.
Whether it's a personal family culture or a global culture, you're transported back to either childhood or a place that you visited or just someplace familiar. And what I love about your product, I'm going to show it here just a minute because your team was so nice to send me some samples which I was sharing earlier with Jen that my teenage daughter and her friends ripped into, and I had to go into crisis mode and save some cans for myself. Um, what I love is that you've got some classics here. All of these are familiar classics, so it's not like some sort of mysterious flavor that maybe you're not comfortable with. These are what you would expect to see at an everyday function or an everyday household, like the lemonades, like the half and halves, and the iced teas are really really great. So I love that you're really focused, at least right now. Maybe you might be changing in the future, but right now, just these classics are super great to have in that format for everybody to have.
Yeah, exactly. We really kind of just wanted to go back to the classics, to the drinks that everyone knows and loves, and just say, you know
Hmm.
what, you can take sugar out and they can still be great. We're not
Yeah.
adding so many other things into it or making them drinks that don't know what the names are or what's in the ingredient list. So it
Hmm.
really is just a better version of the
Hmm.
classics.
Great. Well, talk a little bit about how the idea came about. How did Swoon come about? What happened? Was there an aha? Was there a did you work on it for 40 days? Like what did that look like?
Yeah, so it actually really started with Swoon Syrup, which is a monk fruit based simple syrup. And monk fruit is our sweetener. It's from
Mhm.
the Lohan Guo plant. It's
Mhm.
native to Southeast Asia. It looks like a gourd. It's 200 times sweeter than sugar. There is no glycemic impact. And my partner Christina is half Cuban, and she was making a mojito actually, and making
Mm.
simple syrup, which is literally sugar and water.
Mhm.
And I'm sitting there and I'm like, I can't drink that. And then she's like,
Yeah.
I don't actually even want this.
Mhm.
And so then it really was this idea of like, can we actually create a sweetener that is all natural and isn't sugar? And so spent a lot of time working on, the mouthfeel, the taste, the texture of that, of Swoon syrup. And it's what, as we then made it and we're sampling people on it, you can't frankly sample people on a syrup. We were
Right.
making lemonade.
Yeah. Okay.
We were using water, freshly squeezed lemons, and
Mhm.
Swoon syrup. And some restaurants and places in New York started putting it on tap, and we were getting feedback like, "Can I buy this? Can you can this? Like, I
Mhm.
want this." And so that really was the genesis of it. And then as we really looked at the market, there was so much happening sort of in the beverage space,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
not so much happening in these like true classics in the lemonade and iced tea space. So again, our thought was like, if we want this, there must be other people
There
that want
must be.
it as well.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, so tell me about those early days then. Now you've turned this into a product. And you remind me, how long have y'all been around? 2, 3
So
years? A little bit longer?
yeah, a little bit over 2 years.
A little bit over 2 years. Okay, so this a pandemic project? Was this a passion project? What
So
how did
we had this launched and had the syrup pre-pandemic, but then
Okay.
the line of lemonades came out during the pandemic.
I see.
It was, that was something, we were formulating in our houses, getting
Mm.
samples sent from, the food scientist, tasting it with whoever we were quarantining with at the time, and really kind of bringing it to life then, which was
Mhm.
very interesting. And then,
Mhm.
as really brought it to market in retail stores, starting in New York. Like you said,
Mhm.
we're both based here in New York, and our team's based
Gotcha.
here, and really kind of walking it down and going up and down the street to retailers once the city started to open up. And then
Oh
from
my
there,
goodness.
really expanding distribution.
So you guys were literally going to the stores yourself. You didn't go to like walking the streets or what?
Initially, initially, yes, and then yes, and then
Wow.
we, obviously, then started to work with distributors, bigger
Sure.
retailers. But I think one of the things initially, it's so important to get that feedback, to get the feedback from the
Yeah.
retailers, get the feedback from the customers,
Mhm.
not just in the early days, but always, but
Mhm.
especially in the very beginning, getting just that initial feedback.
And that initial feedback, the adoption, where were you seeing that from? Were you seeing it from a particular demographic? Were you at different parts, certain parts of the country? What
Well,
was
we
that
really
like?
started it based in New York since we were here.
Right, right.
So that's where we got kind of a lot of our first adoption. But, I would say it really does span kind of, you know, male, female, different ages. What a lot of
Mhm.
people liked was, they could have it, they could give it to their kids because they're not giving their kids
Mhm.
juice these days.
Mhm.
And it really was approachable. So it wasn't
Mhm.
something that only like a certain group or niche
Yep.
group of people understood, and a lot of
Mhm.
times our customers were coming to us from flavored water or flavored sparkling water, that have already opted into zero sugar, but
Mhm.
wanted a little bit more flavor.
Mhm. Mhm. Well, I want to talk a little bit about, well, I hear it's exciting times at Swoon and there's an amazing partnership happening. I would love for you to talk about this collaboration with a very famous blonde is what I'm going to say. Uh,
Yes, we are super excited about our partnership with Barbie on our
woohoo.
lemonade. So it's
Right, there
Barbie
it is.
Pink Lemonade. Yeah, it is a very cute can and
I
very
love it.
delicious drink.
And very delicious. Yes.
Yeah. And, for us, it's super, super exciting. Both Christy and I, grew up playing with Barbie. So
Yeah.
have such fun, memories of that. But I think one of the
Yes.
other things is what we love is how Barbie has evolved over time.
Yeah.
She's had countless, like hundreds of careers. She's done so much for with female empowerment
Mhm.
and all of that. So again, it is part nostalgia, but also really so we really feel like Barbie supports women of today and really, echoes our mission of sort of like evolving the classics and making things better. And so
Yeah.
it really, for us, was a dream partnership, between our lemonades and
Sure.
Barbie.
Yeah. Well, and so I am absolutely in alignment with the Barbie of today, but even I'm going to say I'm a little bit older than you. I'm going to put that out there. But even when I was a kid in the 80s, 70s and 80s playing with Barbie, yes, the focus was really about her visual, but this like Barbie had we I had a Corvette, she had an RV, she had a
Yeah.
multi-floor apartment. She was had all sorts of careers even
Yeah.
at that time. Barbie's always been a little bit forward facing and that she's got I'm going to say she's had a little uh, just not been given her due, I think.
Mhm.
And so for me, it's really exciting to see this resurgence,
Yeah.
but then to be able to see women like yourself that are powerful in your own right and excited about the collaboration is super fun too. I really do think that you can, being a woman, you don't have to look like Barbie
Right.
to be powerful, but you certainly can look like Barbie
Mhm.
and be powerful. Like, why does it have to be restricted to certain way of looking in order to be a really powerful and strong woman? So super excited about that. And this, I got to tell you, this is my second one. I drank the other one that came in my package. It's called Barbie Pink Lemonade. It's super yum. I would recommend you guys getting a hold of that. Tell me, What is it like to collaborate with an iconic brand like this? Or did certain things come up that you didn't consider, or did you learn certain things about, first of all, the brand that you understood, but then also the business of collaborating with a brand like this?
Yeah, I mean, it's Barbie and Mattel are obviously a huge corporation, and Swoon
Yeah.
is a very small company. So, I think that's obviously been, I wouldn't say a learning curve, but just different than how we sort of operate in on our daily lives and
Yeah.
things, and working with all of the different facets within the company.
Hmm.
Everyone sort of handles something else, and
Hmm.
as you were just saying, Barbie, is such an icon and is such a brand. So
Hmm.
obviously they have to be so protective over that, as they should be. And so
Hmm.
for us, it's been, I think one of the great things about being a startup is you can just try things, you have an idea and you like put it into action. And that obviously doesn't happen with larger companies for
Hmm.
good reason. And so, it definitely was different in working with that, but
Hmm.
has been the team and everyone we've worked with has been unbelievable, has kind of held our hand in the process, obviously showing us how like the ropes work, how to work best with them.
Great.
Um, which has been fantastic. And there's so much that goes behind, behind Barbie to make Barbie.
Hmm.
So it's been
Right.
really wonderful seeing all of that.
Okay. And this is, of course, related. This is related to the movie coming out, or is this mostly just about the product?
So really, this is directly with Barbie. I think obviously we're all feeling the halo of the movie coming
Right.
out.
Hmm.
It's hard to ignore, but
Hmm.
something that we were really excited to do directly with Barbie.
Hmm. And how does a collaboration like this help you with your personal mission of this, reducing sugar and sugar-free kind of lifestyle?
Yeah, it really helps in so many different ways. I think, ultimately we really want to be in everyone's fridge, in everyone's pantry. So
Hmm.
you need to be able to do that, you need to have a ton of awareness, a ton of distribution. And
Hmm.
given how much awareness Barbie has, we are able to benefit from that. We're able to benefit from getting more awareness, bring people into the brand that didn't know about Swoon before because
Hmm.
maybe they're interested in Barbie and then want to
Sure.
buy
Hmm.
this product. The
Hmm.
other piece of it is retailers have really gotten behind us. I think a lot of them really also believe in everything that we were talking about why Barbie is so great and what they've done for female empowerment, and they want to also be behind that as well. So we've really been able to get, secondary placements and displays and
Wow.
retailers, which has been awesome, which just gets more awareness. So they get hopefully more people buying the product and then therefore reducing more sugar consumption.
Hmm. Is there any chance that there's going to be little mini swoons in a little Barbie home here in the future? Is that something you guys, or
I
maybe you
mean, I
could
would
talk
love
about that?
that.
That'd be super cool. I
That would
love
be
that.
very cool. Yes, anything
Hmm.
mini is very, very cute.
Yes, I know. And super cute. Again, my daughter is, she's in junior high, and some of the stuff that the kids are into. Sometimes I'm like, okay, there's this, there's this brand called Minis. I don't know if you've heard
No,
this. And quite literally, there are these little packages of mini sized CPG food and beverage brands. I'm no joke.
oh my
They're
gosh,
like this big,
so cute.
and she loves them. And it'll be like Kellogg's cornflakes or something, like I don't know. I don't even know how it became a thing for kids to get excited about having these mini brands, but it's literally called mini brands. And she's got a whole collection of them on her shelf in her room. It's bananas.
Oh, I have to
Who,
check it out. No, I've
yeah,
not heard about that.
yeah. Who knew, right?
Right.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Well, tell us a little bit about what kind of advice do you either give or would you like to give to people following in your footsteps? And we could take a look at this in two ways. One is changing behaviors in consumers, and the
Mhm,
other one is building a brand.
mhm.
And I think sometimes they're not exactly the same. So when you find yourself giving advice, like what do you like to tell people about how are you going to do this to make an impact?
When I think about giving advice, I really think about kind of like what is tactical. I think, when we were
Mhm.
starting this out, we didn't have food or beverage experience. And so we really wanted to talk to experts in the space, people that have been through it. But so many times, a lot of those people have been super successful. And so they are many stages away from where we are. And I think things evolve and change. So it's kind of like, what can you think about what really is like in the early days?
Yeah.
And what can you actually put into action? But
Mhm.
one of the pieces of advice that we got early on, which is so important and something we still do, is really to listen to your customers and
Mhm.
don't be afraid to make tweaks. For us on the product, whatever we put out right after COVID, was, we loved it, but was super tart and customers didn't like it. They wanted something that was a little sweeter. So,
Yeah.
we had to kind of go back and add a little bit more monk fruit, make it a little bit sweeter, and in our minds, like, oh my gosh, we just launched this. How can we can't change this. And it was,
Mhm.
at the end of the day, you can continue to make things better over time. It doesn't have to be perfect from the beginning. And
Mhm.
so recognizing that and recognizing you are going to evolve and you are going to change and make those changes from
Mhm.
listening to your customers and really
Mhm.
being open to feedback across the board.
Mhm. That's great. And you said something about getting advice from people in the industry, and I'm curious what if that was easy for you because my experience, our firm has worked with retailers. We've also worked with many, many brands, and I've always found the beverage category to be really in much more intense, for lack of a better description. And I don't know if it's because it's more competitive than in other categories, but it sounds like maybe you didn't have the same experience as some of my the other folks that I've interviewed in regards to getting the advice that you needed to go to market. Can you share a little bit more about that?
Sure. I mean, I do think the beverage category is very competitive, just, by the
Mhm.
nature of there's only limited shelf space. Everyone wants to be in that
Mhm.
cold case. There's really only so many
Mhm.
products that can be in there. So
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
of that, it is competitive. But what we
Mhm.
have found is that, the beverage and food space, I think people have been very generous, have been very open with sharing, know-hows or just answering questions, whether we meet them at conferences or in sort of Slack groups or just get connected, through networking. I've actually found that, yes, the category might be very competitive, but people themselves have been very generous.
Oh, that's awesome. That's really that's great to hear, Jen, because I think I won't say that you had a unique experience, but I would say that your experience might be um different than a lot of others. I don't want to make it sound crazy. I feel like I'm over dramatizing it, but I've seen it be a little bit more of a battlefield in the beverage space. It might be that barrier to entry might be lower barrier to entry when it comes to
Yes.
product development, and that might be part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it definitely is a lower barrier to enter it, but then kind of once you scale, it does end up getting very competitive.
Mhm, mhm. And if you have I'm wondering if you might have a story here before because we're getting close to the end here, but I have a question that I asked my last guest that
Mhm.
I just recorded an hour ago, literally an hour ago. And the question is this: every once in a while, probably more often than not, the situation happens within a company or brand where everything that you wanted to have happen, something goes sideways, and it ends up being the best thing that could have happened, either in the moment or to that or to the brand. Do you have one of those I call a beautiful oops moments that you can share with us?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if this was an oops because it, in a
Mhm.
way, happened to a lot of people, but I mean, to
Oh.
everyone, but the impact here. However, as I was saying, we had started with our Swoon Syrup, and
Mhm.
we had plans to launch it via food service in, small kind of liquid stick packs. Think a liquid
Mhm.
Splenda, in May 2020,
Mhm.
and right in the beginning of COVID, when food service amongst everything else shut down. And,
Mhm.
we had all these plans, things that we had been working towards.
Mhm.
And not again because of an oops on our part, but frankly,
Right.
just because of what was happening in
The
the world
world.
to everyone, we couldn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like I said, from there, that's when we really pivoted into the lemonades and iced teas.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that in a way has been a big blessing. We've seen a
Mm-hmm.
ton of success now with this line of lemonades and iced
Mm-hmm.
teas. So, in the moment, it definitely was like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? All of our plans, we literally have to scrap uh,
Mm.
and scramble to figure out what we're going to do. But once we got through it, and again, kind of looking back on it, 2.5 years later, 3 years later, we're able to see that it actually was a great thing for us and a, forcing mechanism to launch this product line,
Mm-hmm.
which we've had a ton of success with.
Mm. And what are you proud of now in this moment here, or coming up on 3 years for you? What's a moment that you're feeling like, yeah, I can't believe that happened. That's pretty great.
I mean, I have to say, this still even happens to me, like when I'm out, in a grocery store or on the street somewhere and
Mm-hmm.
someone's drinking a Swoon or they're like talking about, they're like, oh my God, you're the founder of Swoon. I love Swoon. Like I still,
Oh.
even though we're in, 5,000 doors across the country, still have
Mm-hmm.
this moment of like, oh my gosh, people like outside of my family know about
Mm-hmm.
this. So I think kind of no matter what, there really is a pinch me moment every
Mm-hmm.
time.
That's awesome. Well, tell us what could we be looking forward to? What's next for Swoon? Do you have some new flavors coming
So we
out?
have some new flavors coming out later on this or early in this summer
Mm-hmm.
on the iced tea side of things, which
Okay.
we are really excited about to kind of continue that offering there for healthy iced teas. And yeah, so that's what we're really focused on.
Excellent. That'll be fun. What's your do you have a heavy distribution up here in the Northwest? I didn't take a look at that.
We do. We're definitely in some of the Albertsons in your
Gotcha.
area,
Uh-huh.
and now we definitely have some others, but I'm just frankly forgetting
That's
which
okay.
stores are there. But if you go to tasteswoon.com, you can put
There
in
we
your
go.
address and you can see where all the stores that we're sold in.
Excellent. Okay. Well, we've been talking with Jennifer Ross, co-founder and co-CEO of Swoon. Jen, where can people learn about more about you and your brand?
You can check us out on our website at tasteswoon.com or follow us
Tasteswoon.com.
on social and Instagram at Swoon.
Excellent. Okay. Well, thank you for your time today. I'm so happy to have met you, and I look forward to seeing what's next. And I'll go, and now I know where to find the product. Destiny, you guys probably use Destiny on your
Yes,
website, and
we
I'll
do.
take a look at that and stock up for my daughter and her friends.
Oh, great.
Uh, and I want to thank all of you listeners for your time today. If you like this episode, please share it with a friend. Otherwise, have a great rest of your day, and we'll catch you next time on the Gooder Podcast.
Produced by Heartcast Media.